What stopped you from committing suicide? My crappy kitchen knives, ironically. TW, suicide attempt/psychosis. I was suffering from postpartum anxiety, depression, psychosis, and I would get these self-harming compulsions interlaid with hallucinations that were really hard to not do. That, coupled with the paranoia, also meant I wasn't exactly forthcoming about how fucked up my head was. I'd been able to redirect the majority of the particularly violent compulsion/hallucination storms into just gouging holes in my hands and arms instead of doing what my brain wanted me to do. My compulsions weren't just geared towards violence/suicide, it needed pain too. I had to suffer for some reason. However, the high from the pain could also snap me out of them. Unfortunately, after a particularly hard day, I wasn't able to push it off or redirect it to something more superficial. Grabbed the kitchen knives and started carving into my legs before the next step of the long walk down the arms. Problem was that my knives were absolute dog shit. It seemed no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't do that much damage to my legs. So in the mind of suffering, I heated up the knives with the kitchen torch. Turns out pressing white hot metal to your skin and cooking myself was enough of a pain high to snap me out of it. Kinda went into shock after that, hid the evidence, our paranoia, and went to work the next day. Called a helpline during my break and they convinced me to talk to my boss about going home early. Ended up having a breakdown and my boss took my keys and got my SO to come pick me up and take me to a hospital. My wife and my dog. The thought of her finding me and having to deal with that, and the thought of my dog never understanding where I went, kept me here till I got smart and got on SSRIs. My kids. I had every intent on doing it after tragically losing my wife unexpectedly at 37. I created/modified my estate/will and got desired custody in order. Put the docs with jewelry and other valuables in a safe deposit box and gave a good friend the key. Even had pre-planned funeral arrangements in there after buying the plot next to my wife. I got sick in February and was on a ventilator. My family said I was fucking pissed when they took me off, screaming at the docs and nurses to send me back. I spent another 2 weeks in the ICU, COVID, and had time to think. I couldn't bear to leave my son alone in the world with no parents. He would have been raised by some extremely wealthy friends, literal jet-setters, but money isn't everything. But I couldn't bear the thought of him having to be told that his only other parent was gone as well. An amazing fucking music festival, /. I don't think anything/anybody particularly, except the thought of someone finding my body and the trauma that would give them. ETA, depression wanted to kill me, but anxiety said absolutely TF not, we don't know what's out there. Knowing the effect it would have on my mom, and later my child. I was staring down at the knife in my hand, then started thinking about how hurt everyone I knew would feel. This thought gave me an erection, and I decided to hold off on killing myself in favor of reevaluate some of my personal preferences. My mom. No, I just think about how I won't be able to do my favorite things or hang out with my friends or family. My stupid looking dog with her stupid looking face. God, I loved her. No one would be able to take care of her. She passed last year, but I got help and talked to a professional about my depression. So, mission accomplished. Good girl. Procrastination. I quit breastfeeding. Edit to elaborate. I had supply issues and among other things I couldn't and didn't want to feed my daughter from tap. So I pumped and supplemented with formula, which ate up a lot of my free time. I barely had time to pump during the day, so all the free time I had at night was taken up pumping. I pumped before bed, and after every nighttime feed she had. Pumping takes a while. Washing every fucking part. And having to do so after every pumping session. The nighttime pumps were killing me too, because I'd feed her, go pump, and then she'd wake up like an hour or so later for another feeding. I was stressed and overtired, which made me have some real bad thoughts. Real bad. I texted my husband one day that I wanted to walk into oncoming traffic. He took it that I was being facetious, because normally I am, but I was being quite serious. At first I thought I was just having those thoughts because I was just tired, but even after skipping pumping at night and getting some decent sleep, that wasn't the case. My thoughts were getting worse and worse. The night I said fuck it, I'm done was the night my hand pump essentially became useless because the small membrane on it broke. I had just bought it. I had an awful day. My daughter was real fussy, and like the norm I wanted to relax but couldn't because I had to fucking pump. I think I thought about ending it like 5 times that day, and each thought was getting more and more serious. Like actually thinking about how I'd do it and when. So when the membrane broke, it was like something in me snapped. I said fuck it. I'm done. I'm done stressing myself to all shit over 3 ounces. Her diet is mostly formula anyway, so why the fuck am I driving myself up the goddamn wall? I sat down and thought long and hard and realized what I needed to do and that those thoughts were coming from the stress breastfeeding was causing me. I quit cold turkey. And honestly I couldn't be happier. I'm so much more relaxed and I'm actually enjoying motherhood now. Even now on the rough days, I don't have those bad thoughts anymore. So essentially saying fuck this shit and having enough clairvoyance to what was driving me suicidal was what saved me. Fear. My friends' daughters, they adore me, and the thought of not being there for the big moments stopped me. A phone call. After the second ectopic pregnancy I went through with different partners, I spiraled into heavy drug use and drinking. One night, I worked up the courage to stand on the side of a bridge. I sat on that rail for around 10 minutes when I got a random phone call. It was 2:30 a.m. My best friend at the time had been drinking and wanted to invite me over to his place to hang out because he missed me. I wanted to feel the warmth of the sunrise one more time. The thought of what my mother and father would go through. I mean, they spent their time and money on me. And I just dropped dead and shit all over their expectations. Activated charcoal and a stomach pump. Jokes aside, I'm thankful for the doctors and nurses that saved my life. I am not thankful for my parents and doctors who ignored my cry for help as a teen. I am in a much better place as an adult. Surrounded by good, supportive people and a great psychiatric team. Lack of access to a gun, honestly. If one had been available in my house throughout my life, I'd say it'd be about 50-50 that I'm still here. That's a bit speculative, I know, but looking back with clear eyes at 3 specific days/nights of my life, those are the odds that I'd give. Realizing that it's selfish. My kids. I was living alone, and I was worried about who would take care of my pets. I haven't yet tried everything I can. Suicide is my absolute last resort. My friends and older brother, if they both got Thanos snapped, so would probably kill myself. I had a really cool concert to go to in under a year. When I finally experienced it, I remember thinking I'm so glad I didn't kilometers that one time last year. The song What We Worked For by Against Me. I was 19 and was driving around early one morning before class that I wasn't planning on really going to. I was driving to where a bridge was over a river, but a buddy had left a burned CD in my car and that song came on. I don't know why, but it gave me hope. It made me truly think about there was more out there. That the bullshit is the bullshit, but there's a height beyond skyscrapers, a distance beyond the freeway. I ended up moving out of state a few months later, changing my lifestyle, and becoming the person I loved. I just needed a kick in the ass. Thanks Laura Jane Grace, heart. Edit typo. Good food. This episode from The Simpsons where Homer was supposed to die and he completed his bucket list before hitting the can. He fell asleep and woke up the next day surviving death. The credits rolled on him just happily eating peanuts while watching TV, even though he said if he had more time he would do so much more. It just kinda told me that I don't have to meet these expectations and that what I do is okay if it makes me happy. Seething hatred for the universe. I refuse to be beaten by it. I will squeeze every last bit of goodness I can out of my brief conscious existence. My best friend beat me to it. I can't kill myself now because people will think I just copied Jay. My mom, she's truly my rock and was going to do anything to save my life. My ex. She cried when she thought I was going to kilometers. I didn't realize how much I would hurt everyone around me. Most of the apathetic world wouldn't care if I ceased to exist, but the people I truly cared about would be the ones hurt the most. I would never want to put anyone through that. A close friend of mine's friend ended her life on April 1st in 2020. We would hang out online and play video games together. I thought she was really fun and witty. I had only known her for a few days before I got the news, and honestly I thought it was a really shitty prank. She left a void in everyone. I didn't even know her that long and it hurt so much. I still think about her. I wish she could have seen herself through everyone else's eyes and known she wasn't alone. I wish I could have reached out and helped. I didn't know what she was going through. Anyone that's going through a rough time, I hope you find the courage to reach out to someone, anyone. There's always someone that cares even if you don't think so. My mom. User error, luck being a bitch, poorly tied knot. These were separate instances. A couple of days. The weekend makes school suck a lot less.